What are some dark secrets about the corn industry?
I live in Iowa. Corn isn't what it's romanticized to be, hot sunny days, corn in the field, nor is it creepy, children of the corn. In reality, it's dusty, allergy-inducing, smelly, a hotspot for spiders and gross bugs that you don't want, it attracts deer, and it's beep huge. Granted, I'm 5 feet 3 inches, but this beep beep goes up to 7/8 of a foot at the tallest you usually see, and I hate it. Also, there was a year where it seemed to scream, but it was just cicadas. I don't like corn.
Corn sweat. An acre can expel a lot of gross humidity into the air each day, making the Midwest extra hot and sticky in corn season. Yuck.
There is corn in everything. Every single thing.
Kellogg's has been conspiring to make corn pops worse and worse every year, starting with the removal of the foil bag since 1989. It's one giant funnel system for hard stale corn now. The gradual change has slowly removed anyone's memory of it being an actually good cereal.
Your tax dollars heavily subsidize the industry in the U.S.
Heard they're reforming the corn guard, dark secret hunters or something, in the old fort near Riften. Might consider joining up myself.
All I'm saying is don't talk about big corn unless you're ready for the consequences.
Runoff from the corn production states flows into the Mississippi, and is a major contributor to the dead zone, deoxygenation, in the Gulf of Mexico.
Drowning in is common.
Iowan here, as others have mentioned, ethanol production is a waste of energy and highly subsidized. You just can't get the same energy out of biofuels that you can out of matter that has been pressurized for millions of years. Corn is also a huge nitrogen suck. Historically, farmers would counteract this by doing crop rotations of different plants each year to rejuvenate the soil. Today, fields typically alternate between soybeans and corn each year, or 2 to 3 years of corn and 1 year of soybeans. This does not give enough time to rework nitrogen into the soil, so farmers have to bring in big tanks of nitrogen and inject it into the soil. This nitrogen obviously doesn't all stay in the ground and washes off into waterways and ends up in the drinking water. Nitrate levels are very high in corn states and can lead to blue baby syndrome. We also use huge amounts of pesticides on our corn. This has a major impact on the ecosystems surrounding cornfields as well as the health of people who live near farms. Many pesticides still used today are cancerous in small amounts to humans. 1/3 of the topsoil in Iowa has washed away, and major flooding has become a major issue for towns. Topsoil is a valuable resource that was accumulated over millions of years of prairie grass decomposing into rich black soil. Once it's gone, it's gone. We could help stop this process by dedicating more farmland to perennial grassland to anchor soil in place, as well as growing more cover crops. Sustainability is not the name of the game in farming, though. 98% of Iowa's land is different than its original landscape. The saddest thing is farmers don't have any control in all of this. The same companies that sell corn seeds buy the corn and get to decide exactly how much money farmers make. They also don't let farmers keep their own seeds. This means that a farmer's wage has been declining for decades, and farmers have to keep growing the land they farm to break even. This means that one farmer is farming much more land today than in the past, and many farmers have left the trade altogether. There are hundreds of small ghost towns in states like Iowa from this process. Basically, the corn industry is super beep up and unsustainable. We should be doing more to try and fix it.
Corn smut. Despite what you may be thinking, it is a fungus that grows on corn and can ruin whole crops. In the past, farmers would burn whole fields to get rid of it. Though it is a delicacy in Mexico and across the world apparently, it is a black gritty texture. It is used as spread or filler. Kind of a nutty truffle taste. Farmers in the US hate it. The US government tried to get them grow it, but it spreads too easily and can ruin crops where you don't want it. The past 2 years the corn in my garden has had it. That's why I know about it. My property used to be a cornfield and the fungus lives in the soil for a long time. I'm not even going to try to grow sweet corn this year. I also saw it in the farmer's field right next to my garden last year. It was most likely feed corn, so they probably don't care.
In order to make hybrid strains of corn, 75 to 80% of rows in a hybrid field are neutered by hand. They give this job to middle school children.
Corn is actually grass.
92% of all corn is genetically modified.
Corn monoculture is terrible for the ecosystem where it's grown.
The whole high-fructose corn syrup is unhealthy thing was actually a marketing ploy to distract people from the truth that all refined and raw sugar is unhealthy to pretty much the same extent.
Watch the documentary, King Corn. There are a surprising number of dark secrets behind corn.
You can drown in a corn silo in minutes.
Recently saw a corn-like dildo invented by some horny researchers stating that the corn-like texture stimulated the right spots in the vagina.
You mean besides the children?
Corn seed is sprayed with a neonicotinoid that does significant damage to bees. The dust is bad enough Canada requires corn be planted with a lubricant.
Back when I lived in Ohio, we used to have corn races. Nude and backwards, the most cobs collected wins something.
There was a problem with people putting green-colored rebar in fields. It just wrecks farm equipment.
Oh my god, this post was made for my username.
I'm in Iowa. They're stalking me, getting closer. My family is corn already. Not long now before they catch me. They have their highest-ranking colonel on my trail. Keep an ear out, and if you don't hear from me, it's too late.
I think that the obesity epidemic in this country is due in large part to the corn industry. Many foods have corn syrup, corn oil or cornstarch. Soy is another issue. So many foods have soy protein, soybean oil, and soy lecithin added. This is because in the US their growth is subsidized by the government. These additions increase the calories of so many foods and make it difficult to maintain a healthy weight, especially for those who may not have the time or know how to cook whole food meals. These ingredients are even in foods many would consider healthy, like peanut butter, wheat bread, canned fruit and even canned vegetables.
Most corn grown is not for consumption.
I grew up on a farm. The only thing about corn and farming in general that I can say is that a lot of the mystique and aesthetic beauty that farming once had is now gone and has been replaced by cold industrialization. Corn and farming in general are so beautiful when done in a manner more like the Amish or old European pagans or even Old English. The feeling of earthy connectedness and textural/sensory delight one can experience when working an old water wheel or rummaging through an old corn crib, or roaming about in a field where cows graze can be almost soul-cleansing. By contrast, the feeling of stark lifelessness one feels when standing next to a steel grain bin perched over an endless abyss of monoculture in a land of dilapidated, once socially bustling and thriving towns is soul-wrenching. I could not wish for anything better for mankind than to reverse this humanity-draining process than for it to return to small, mostly self-sustaining farming communities where you know, trust, and at times depend upon your neighbor. I long for my youth, when families were friends from husband to wife to child, all living and relating alike.
Well, I live in Iowa, literally in the middle of a cornfield. I would say the methamphetamine is the dark side of where the corn grows. The farmers out here aren't just growing corn out on the farms. I have never seen whole communities addicted to meth like I have here amidst the corn. I see children hardly in junior high already fully addicted to speed sporting meth mouth on a daily basis out here. Where I grew up on the East Coast, it was never even close to being this bad even in the cities.
Check out a documentary called King Corn. It's a pretty fascinating look at the industry.
There's a kernel of truth that some of the hottest sex has gone on in the cornfield when the ears were full and ripe for picking.
Side effects if corn may include choking, I guess.
It replaces biodiverse grasslands with monocultures and uses and releases many pesticides into the environment.
The fertilizer runoff is killing Lake Erie. But Big Ag calls the tune and the politicians dance.
Sexually transmitted diseases are not as rampant as one would think. Wait, corn industry.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.